A few weeks ago, I made a video about how to start bowing, and I gave you some, posture tips and basically a step-by-step instruction on how to do it. And now I have got a request for how to start meditation, and especially related to how to sit, posture, and things like that. So let's start with that. Meditation is typically done sitting down on the floor. Why not chairs? You could. Why not be somewhere more comfortable? You could. But what's likely going to happen when you are too comfortable is you will likely fall asleep. And the practice is to cultivate this awareness around your body, right? So you need a little bit of discomfort to kind of work through. Wait, I'm feeling the discomfort, but I'm letting it exist and I'm continuing to focus on whatever I'm focusing on. So that's kind of the practical reason behind it, but realistically, why do we meditate sitting down like this? It's because in Buddha's time, which was when meditation was just kind of like in its, when Buddha himself was meditating, he was meditating on the floor because culturally it was not a culture of with chairs and things like that. There were no beds, so it was 2,600 years ago. So we're just trying to incorporate the fact that hey, even if you don't have a chair, even if you don't have all these fancy gadgets, as long as you have a body where you can sit, you don't really need a lot of requirements. You don't really need a lot of things in order to meditate. And transitively, that reaches out to the core Buddhist message: as long as you're alive, you can be healthy. So, with that said, the majority of the people will be able to meditate sitting down. So we try to aim for meditation while sitting down on the floor. But the hardships that you will have to encounter is in the mobility of the lower body, because we are mostly these days in a culture of sitting on top of chairs and things like that, right? So sitting on floor, if you're Asian, you're kind of used to it, but if you're a Westerner or like a European or American, it's gonna be difficult for you to sit down on the floor and have the mobility to kind of like sit even the most basic of them all, like a crisscross applesauce, right? Like this. So with that said, you will need to work on your lower body mobility, but another thing to help you get started is it's a general observation that the longer the bigger the distance between your lower body and the upper body, the less strain there is on your hip, right? So this is easily demonstratable by doing this. The higher my leg comes up, the more strain there is on my knee, right? So, as we're meditating, we aim to be meditating for a long amount of time, right? If we want to really, really invest time into meditation, we're not looking for some daily 10-minute sessions. We're looking to go deep within ourselves. We are willing to potentially spend hours in meditation. That's the kind of cultivation that we are trying to develop, right? So, of course, not everybody needs to be like this, but in general, when you have that skill, 10-minute meditations just become like a cakewalk. But anyway, some things that help in that regard is a meditation cushion. So, there's high cushions. They really need to be fat cushions. But because I use a Korean style, these are cushions that I can bow on, right? The nice thing about these things is they are foldable. So when you fold this and you sit on top of the folded portion, you see how my hip lies higher than my legs, right? So in here, when I go for the different meditation poses, there's less strain on the hip and there's cushion on the butt, so there's like circulation on the butt, which is good. So it's like a compromise. Could I sit down on the floor? Yes, totally. That's one option. But we can try to, we have to meet ourselves where we're at, right? So meditation in a more comfortable setting, if it's gonna help you meditate, is better than no meditation. But we want to kind of develop the lower body mobility to get there. Now, in terms of poses, right? the ideal pose is frequently said to be the full lotus, which is foot on top, and then foot on top, both feet on top. This is widely believed to be the best meditation pose. One level below that is the half lotus, where one goes on the bottom, not one doesn't go on the bottom either, one goes on top. And then the other pose is just crisscross, sitting crisscross, right? But when you sit for a prolonged amount of time in crisscross, you will start to have some strain, because there is there's some parts where your leg bone meets the, anyway, like this kind of, I'm not a physiologist, so it's hard for me to explain why it's a little bit uncomfortable as it goes on. There's a slight bit of a lifting force here, so your psoas will become tighter and such. So you get started ideally with the half lotus, and when you do this, both hips are spread out, even tension. And on top of that, if you can get to the full lotus, right, that really distributes your weight. It really distributes your structural integrity, so that you have a nice base that you can maintain for ideally a prolonged amount of time. So because if you're structurally unsound, suppose you have a little bit of a limited mobility, and you're meditating like this, right? What's gonna happen is that for the first 5 minutes, you're gonna be fine. But when you're sitting unbalanced like this, after the 20th minute, you're going to start feeling shortening, and you're gonna start to feel cramps on one part of the body. So we want to ideally avoid that, right? So we want to be able to meditate in a balanced pose. So yes, we might lose circulation, but we don't put uneven tension on our body. So when I meditate, I have an MCL injury right now, so usually these days I do half lotus like this. But when my knee's not bothering me, then I usually go for the full lotus. And it doesn't really, like, some people say it matters what foot is on top, but I don't think it really matters. So whatever leg you have mobility on, you just put it on top. And then whatever side leg is on top, your hand goes like this. So right now my left leg is on top of my right leg, so I put it on top like this, and then I make the thumbs meet. This is one way. Another way, I've seen a lot of Japanese people do this. You put the knuckles together, and then you join your thumb here. That's another popular way. I'm sure there are other ways, like this one too, but I think the majority of meditations that I do either do this or this. And then you're sitting tall, chin slightly tucked in. And there's different types of meditations, but the one that I usually advocate for beginners is focusing on the sensation of air as it enters and leaves your nostril. And then that's it. You stay in focus. All right. So that is my video on posture and beginning in meditation. So if you have any questions about meditation, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.